Thank you. Well, just want to say thank you for inviting me to this really amazing event. I only came into politics in 2014, and I'd never been in politics before. And actually, my life was about working with people, and it was working with people who were falling through every single social net you can imagine. So a lot of the people who were suffering from mental health problems or at risk of mental health problems or recovering from mental health problems were people that I was actually working directly with. In September, I was asked by a friend of mine to go and visit her daughter who had been sectioned in under the Mental Health Act in the UK. And I was asked to do that because her mother was not allowed to go, because her mother had become so upset at what was happening that she'd been banned from visiting her own daughter. And I used to work running an arts organisation for people with disabilities, and I went into closed institutions when we still had closed institutions in the UK. But that was quite some time ago, and I can tell you that in September I was shocked, okay? I was really shocked that in my country, what has happened to my friend's daughter is still possible, and that what has happened to my friend as a mother is still possible, that the mother who wants to care for her daughter has somehow been separated from that possibility. And I think that we have to be more vocal, we have to be more visible, we have to be out there more with all kinds of different representations about mental health in order to keep it on the agenda. In fact, not just to keep it on the agenda, but to try and bring it higher up on the agenda. 27% of people experiencing mental health conditions at some point in their life. That's more than a quarter of the population, okay? That's a huge number of people, and we all know people, and we all may be those people. Because I don't think that we can make good legislation or good policy unless we're talking to all the stakeholders. It's really important that when we do what we do it because we have spoken to experts. And those experts aren't just scientists and academics. They are people who are experiencing the different states of being, actually. So it was very important to have the conversations with EUFAMI about the work that I was doing. But I also know from my work back home that men are more prone to suicide. So they find less spaces, less mechanisms for talking about or dealing with their mental health problems. And I suppose the Men's Shed movement is one amazing initiative that's tried to address that. If you don't know about men's sheds, find out about it, okay? It's a really good initiative. So people are looking at me now, so I need to say what it is, okay? Okay, in Australia, okay, guys don't talk, but they do get into sheds, okay? And when they get into sheds, then they talk. And then it was discovered that they talked about these things that are really painful for them. So the Men's Shed movement is a really brilliant mental health initiative that enables men to come together and to address their well-being. Now, so go out and get a shed, folks, okay? Because they're not going to turn up in any of the other places that you're setting up for them. In the northeast of England, which is where I was working before I was elected, we don't have sheds, but men hang out with pigeons, and these places are called crees. So the organisation that I used to work for now has a cree project, okay? Because it recognised that it needed to make it particular to the culture in which it was working. All right. So, still talking about the gender aspect. Women go through life facing a myriad of gender-based negative impacts on their mental health, such as objectification from the media. And we shouldn't forget that when we have sexist advertising, and we have photoshopping of models, and then we have young girls, constantly anxious about their body image. Okay, we have a massive problem for young women growing up. We also are increasingly suffering from harassment. That's come into the arena big time because of the Harvey Weinstein scandal. And I have to say that the sexual harassment issues are not just in Hollywood, they're not just in the arts, they're not just in politics, they're not just on the right, they are everywhere. Okay, everywhere we look, this issue of sexual harassment is now something that we have to deal with. So a few more things to say, and I know this is far more interesting, what's going on behind me, okay, and I was warned, okay. So the contribution of informal learning, sport and arts, volunteering is really important. And I would say a greater use of social prescribing. My organisation, I ran an artist collective before I was elected. My organisation was involved in social prescribing. And this was actually the ability to refer yourself to an arts organisation or a leisure organisation or a sports organisation in order to participate in painting, music, theatre, filmmaking, walking in the countryside, photography, a whole range of different activities that were social, which would enable you to find that safe space and that friendship, you know, that actually is often the solution or can be part of the solution. And then finally, one of the things that is least known about the EU is the way that we share best practice. So we have to, I think we have to big up the things that we do well, and we have to speak about that in an international level. And by bringing your, you know, you reached out, not just to EU countries, you reached out across the world to talk about this. And I think this is an example of how we can share best practice. So enjoy the rest of the evening. And my door's always open. I'm a very touchy-feely MEP because that's the world I came from, theatre, arts, and all the rest of it. And here in Brussels, we give 3 kisses, not 2, okay? So enjoy the evening, and, you know, thank you so much for asking me to be here. Thank you.